Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is me Fatima Khan, Business Wali. I'm a student of Rehan AI Teachers Training Institute, batch 22. So today I'm going to discuss a very important topic. The topic is how to practice self-compassion and forgive yourself with Sesame. So today we will learn about this topic from Sesame. So let's start.
Hey, how's your Wednesday going?
Today I want to discuss about the topic is how to practice self-compassion and forgive yourself on. Actually, I have no knowledge about this topic, so I will learn about this topic from you.
Oh, I can definitely help with that. It's a heavy topic, but a really important one. To get us started, do you want the high level idea of what self compassion actually is, or should we dive straight into some practical ways to start forgiving yourself?
First of all, tell me what does self-compassion really mean in simple words?
In simple terms, self compassion is just treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you give to a good friend. Instead of being your own harshest critic when you mess up, you acknowledge that you're human, and that making mistakes is just part of the deal for everyone.
Okay, why is it often harder to forgive ourselves than others?
It usually comes down to the fact that we have a front row seat to all our own flaws. When a friend messes up, we see the whole picture, their intentions, their stress, the circumstances. But with ourselves, we mostly just see the mistake and the guilt. We hold ourselves to a standard of perfection that we'd never actually expect from anyone else.
How can I stop being overly critical of myself?
One of the best ways is to start noticing your inner critic in real time. When you hear that voice telling you that you failed or that you're not enough, try to pause and ask yourself, would I ever say this to a friend? Usually the answer is no. Once you realize how harsh you're being, try to consciously rephrase the thought. Instead of, I can't believe I messed this up, try, I made a mistake, but I'm learning how to handle it. It takes practice, but it shifts you from judging yourself to supporting yourself.
Okay, what are the first steps to practicing self-compassion daily?
A great first step is starting a kindness check in throughout the day. Whenever you feel a spike of stress or guilt, just take a second to acknowledge it. Say to yourself, this is a moment of struggle, or this is hard right now. Another simple one is mindful self touch, like placing a hand over your heart or on your cheek. It sounds small, but it physically signals to your brain that you're safe and supported. Which one of those feels more doable for you?
Okay, how does self-talk affect our emotional well-being?
Your self talk is basically the soundtrack of your life. If it's constantly negative, it keeps your brain in a state of stress and defense, which can lead to anxiety or burnout. But when you shift to a more supportive tone, it actually lowers your stress hormones and helps you recover from failures much faster. It's the difference between feeling defeated by a mistake and feeling capable of fixing it.
Okay, can self-compassion improve mental health?
Absolutely. It's a huge factor. When you stop attacking yourself for every mistake, you significantly lower your levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, which reduces anxiety and depression. It also builds resilience, meaning when things go wrong, you don't spiral as deep because you have a safety net of your own kindness to catch you.
What is the difference between self-compassion and self-pity?
They feel similar on the surface, but they're actually opposites. Self pity is like drowning in your own problems. It's a, why is this happening to me mindset that makes you feel isolated and stuck. Self compassion, on the other hand, is recognizing that suffering is a universal human experience. Instead of feeling like the only person struggling, you realize everyone goes through hard times. It moves you from poor me to this is hard, and it's okay to feel this way, which actually gives you the strength to move forward.
How can I forgive myself for past mistakes?
The first step is to accept that you can't change the past, but you can change how you relate to it. Start by looking at the version of yourself that made that mistake. You probably didn't have the tools, the knowledge, or the emotional state you have now. Try to separate the action from your identity. You did something bad, but that doesn't make you a bad person. From there, ask yourself what that mistake taught you. Once you've extracted the lesson and made amends, if possible, you have to consciously decide that carrying the guilt isn't helping anyone anymore. It's a process, not a switch you just flip. Does that make sense, or does it feel a bit too simple?
What role does mindfulness play in self compassion?
Mindfulness is basically the trigger for self compassion. You can't be kind to yourself if you don't realize you're suffering in the first place. Mindfulness allows you to step back and notice, hey, I'm really beating myself up right now without getting swept away by the emotion. It creates that tiny bit of space between the mistake and the reaction, which gives you the chance to choose kindness over criticism.
How can journaling help in self forgiveness? Forgiveness.
Journaling is like an external hard drive for your brain. When your thoughts are just swirling around, they feel chaotic and overwhelming. Writing them down forces you to structure them, which helps you spot patterns and prioritize what actually matters. It turns a vague feeling of I have too much to do into a concrete list of tasks and goals, which naturally clears up the mental clutter.
Okay, so what are the some healthy ways to deal with regret?
Instead of trying to push the regret away, try to lean into it just a bit to see what it's actually telling you. Regret is usually just a signal that your current values are different from the ones you had when you made the choice. Use it as a compass if you regret how you treated someone, for example. Use that feeling as fuel to be more empathetic today. Once you've used the regret to grow, you can consciously decide to leave the burden behind. It's about transforming the pain into a lesson.
How do I stop replaying my mistakes in my mind?
When you start replaying a mistake, your brain is essentially trying to solve a problem that's already happened. To stop the loop, you have to interrupt the pattern. Try a technique called thought stopping. Literally tell yourself stop or enough out loud. Then immediately ground yourself in the present. Notice 5 things you can see or 3 things you can hear. It pulls you out of the past and back into the room. It doesn't make the memory disappear, but it stops the spiral.
Okay, so can self compassion make a person more confident?
Yeah, definitely. It sounds counterintuitive, but when you're not terrified of your own judgment, you're more likely to take risks. Most people lack confidence because they're scared of the crash, the self loathing that happens after a failure. When you have self compassion, you know that even if you mess up, you've got your own back. That safety net makes it a lot easier to be bold.
What are common barriers to self forgiveness?
One of the biggest barriers is the belief that guilt is a form of punishment that pays for the mistake. People often feel that if they stop feeling bad, they're letting themselves off the hook or condoning what they did. There's also the fear that forgiving yourself makes you complacent, that you'll just do it again. But in reality, shame just freezes you in place. It doesn't actually inspire change. Yeah, kindness is what actually gives you the energy to do better.
Okay, thank you, Maya, for a great conversation.
You're so welcome. I'm glad we could dive into this.
So that's all about the conversation. I hope you learned something new in this conversation. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me. Allah Hafiz.